What's up, soldiers? Thanks for joining me on this video where we're talking about the strength standards for the world's strongest man and woman weight class divisions. Okay, so this video does not apply to the open division or the masters division. But what we're going to talk about is just exactly how strong do you need to be to score any points at all in these events at something like the official Strongman Games. So these are all numbers that are taken directly from the events that will be contested this year in about 5 weeks from now in Madison, Wisconsin. So if you want to know, like, okay, how much do I need to do on a log, yoke, et cetera, we're going to dig into that with actual hard numbers at a percentage of your body weight. Okay, so let's just dive right into this, right? The log. This year, the log at the official Strongman Games, we have a light and a heavy option. So this is a max reps in 60 seconds. So any reps at the heavier log trumps, it's called trump log, any reps at a lighter option. So even if you got 20 reps on the light one and somebody got 1 rep at the heavy one, that 1 rep here beats this. So at minimum, to score any points whatsoever for men, you have to have 1.4 times body weight log. Okay, so I am an 80 kilo competitor. That's 176 pounds. That means for me in my weight class, you have to have a minimum 250 log. Okay, so with the women, it is a 1-to-1. You have to be able to press your body weight to hit any points whatsoever on that lighter log. But as we step it up to the heavier option, it's 1.5 times body weight for men. For me, again, I can give you all the 80 kilo numbers because I know them and I'm training for them. This is 280 pounds for that weigh-in at 176. I also know just off the top of my head, if I'm correct, the heavy log for the 90 kilo division, which is 198 pounds, is 310. Okay. For the women, you're going to need to do 1.2 times body weight. So if you were somebody that was like a 130-pound woman, you would have to be hitting a 150 plus log per rep. That's closer to actually like 156, 160 on that. Now, again, minimums. These are minimums. What does it take to win an event like this? I anticipate that we'll be seeing some people get a lot of reps. And by a lot, I mean 6, 8, 10, maybe more reps on that heavy log. It seems for whatever reason that on overhead presses, you tend to have some outliers on this that are like much more separated from the rest of the pack. But I do think minimum 6, even more likely, honestly, probably, 8, 9, 10 reps in some of these divisions to win that. So that's max reps in 60 seconds to get that done at this year's log press event. Now that's going to move right into the yoke. This actually was pretty even for men and women. Both of these are going to have about 4 times body weight for men and women and for 50 feet. Now, for consideration, this will be pretty quick for some people. We're talking about minimum. So at minimum, you need to be able to move 4 times your body weight on a yoke. Now, this is a car yoke, which just, changes things up because it's a whole different kit than the yoke you're going to train in at your gym. So that is a different factor, but I wouldn't worry about that. You just need to worry about that strength first. For me, again, I'll give you my numbers. 80 kilos, I'm 176 pounds at weigh-in, and I have a 730-pound yoke, okay? So it's about 4 times body weight, and everybody will have to carry for 50 feet. Now, in order to win this, you're going to need to do this in about 10 seconds, maybe under 8 seconds. There's going to be a good amount of people that are getting this done very, very, very quickly. Now, of course, some people will zero, some people get stalled out. Yoke is one where some people have a pretty difficult time just getting any sort of movement whatsoever. So there'll be all sorts of ranges here, but to score any points whatsoever, you need to be doing 4 times your body weight for some sort of distance. And to win an event like this, I think some people will be getting 8, 7.5 seconds or so on that. All right. Now, an actual deadlift for reps. This is the same style as the log where you have a light and a heavy option. So even if you did 20 reps at the light, if somebody came and did 1 rep at the heavy, they beat you. For the light option, we have 3 times body weight for men. I'll keep giving you my numbers because I know them. The men's weight, you know what? I honestly don't remember men's weight. I think it's 560 possibly or 540 for that 176 division, and the women's is 2.5 times body weight. So still pretty high. And again, this is to just get any reps whatsoever, because the heavy option is 3.6 times body weight for men. So as a 176-pound individual at weigh-in, I will have 640 pounds on that heavier option. So that's followed up by 3.1 times body weight for the women. Now, just specific to rule sets, it's 60 seconds, max reps, suits are allowed, and you're strapping in after the time is called. So just, there's always these little factors here and there. You can't dilly-dally, take your time and, set up super perfectly. You have to practice the skill of these things. So you always have to remember that it's just because you could hit all of these things in the gym doesn't mean that you can do it, live fire in a competition when the pressure is on. So do remember that, always first you should focus on having the sufficient physical skills necessary, and then get some competitive reps so you get good at all those little intangibles and things that make you a good competitor. But those things are nothing without the fundamental strength and conditioning just to be there. So moving on. What's it going to take to win that? I really think similar to the log, we're going to see people in this heavy range with 6, 8, 10, possibly 10 reps on some of these heavier options, which is absurd, but it could happen. Realistically, I think 6 at the minimum, maybe over 10. I don't see many people getting much more than that, but you never know. This is the World Championships. So you could see some people put it all out on the line, especially on deadlift, where this is one of these lists too, where you have some outliers that are super good at that and not as talented on these other two. So if somebody wants to come in and make a name for themselves because they can't do as well with these other ones, you might see some 11, 12 like outlier performances there. Okay. Now moving in, there's a sandbag medley. The way this works is you have a normal sandbag, Hustafel sandbag. You do one at a time. So 50-foot carry, drop into a sled, run back, 50-foot carry, drop into a sled, and then it's a sled push back to the start. So this is a big conditioning and speed-based event. So that's very important. This is not just a heavy sandbag thing, although it is heavy. This is not what you would like qualify as a heavy sandbag event. This is a fast conditioning-based event. So when we're doing this, men are going to have a 1.4 times body weight sandbag, and women just over 1 times body weight. So 1.1 is what these come out to. So that's for a 50-foot carry, with the expectation that you're supposed to be doing this with some speed and athleticism, right? Now with that Hustafel sandbag, it's just a little heavier. Men have about 1.5 times body weight and women 1.25 times body weight. Now, I left the sled push off of here because that's really just, if you get that far, you should be able to finish that. But it varies wildly depending on type of sled, surface being used, and all sorts of other things. So you really should be able to finish that out based on your conditioning and just based on your strength if you get that far. So didn't leave that in. But that being said, 50-foot carry, run back to start, 50-foot carry, drop into the sled, push 50 feet back to the start. I think we're going to be seeing some people finish this under 30 seconds, possibly about 25. I think 20 is a little too quick to get all of this stuff done, but could happen. You never really know. But 25 seconds is my guess to do well with all three of the elements, the sandbag carry, the Hustafel bag, and the sled push. Now, before we move on into these next two, let's remember that these are qualifiers. The way that the official Strongman Games works is that you have 4 events spread over the first 2 days. So that means that into day 3, they only take the top 10. So when we're talking about things like throwing sandbags and stones, not even really worth worrying about if you have like no shot at doing well at these 4. And I think a lot of people sometimes like really put a lot of energy and investment into doing stones when they need to be working these other elements. Like it's a waste of energy to be working on things that you might not even really have to do. Not that you shouldn't stay fresh and polished on them, but you have to consider when you're training, like how to save some energy for your brain and body to max out like your weak events in the qualifiers before worrying about what's a finals event, right? You're just kind of leaving some room on the table for that. So that being said, throwing sandbags, Pretty similar in terms of weights, and this is a harder one to kind of correlate and respond to body weight. But what you need to know really is that it starts at 0.14 times body weight, goes up to 0.25, so a quarter of your body weight for men, and just under that for women at 0.22 times your body weight. So we have about a quarter and about a fifth of your body weight for men and women. Big difference being 15 feet high crossbar for men and a 12-foot high crossbar for women. This is a series of 6 in ascending order up. So you're starting at that lighter one, taking it up. Now, this is one where the best people will finish very, very quickly, but I anticipate only about 3 to 4 out of 10 finish the entire run. All right. So if you can just do any of these or all of these rather completely, like that really is pretty massive in itself. So, one event this like here is one of the really good ones that's not so important to worry about time and more important to worry about quality. Now, if you're in contention for one of those very, very, very top podium spots, of course, you need to be precise in your training and thinking about like split times and how fast you're going and smooth transitions and wasting no time whatsoever. But as you're training up just to strive to be at that level, that's not as important to worry about as just having the practice ability to get these heavier weights over at the end of a series. Okay. And that's similar with stones too, because a lot of people will finish the stones, but not everybody. So depending on where you're at, if you're somebody that's fighting for that really, really top spot, you do need to be worrying about stones, but it's so much more important just to work up to the ability to start with a 1 1/4 body weight stone and finish with a 2 times body weight stone. So make sure you're working those heavy singles. And then for women, close, it's 1.1. It works up to a 1.9 times body weight stone. But for finishing times, similar, you're probably going to have some people finish this. It's a run of 6 in about 30 seconds, right? It takes a lot of time, to kind of do one bit by bit by bit. I don't really see anybody going much faster than that. You could see 25 seconds or so. That's about 4 to 5 seconds per stone. But outside of that, only a handful, probably half in each division or so or less will finish the entire run. And I'm not sure if I said it on throwbacks, but this is kind of an interesting event where you have the people that finish tend to, for the most part, get it done really, really, really quickly, right? Like if you're getting it done whatsoever, it's probably going to happen on the quicker end just because you have that developed explosive capability and you're going to be able to hit it like real fast versus like taking your time, draw it out, draw it out, draw it out. Because if you can't hit that 4th or 5th bag, like in that series, you're probably not going to get it, period. That's just how that goes. So that's why I said like having the ability to do this period is pretty important. And then you can like pick up the speed and this and that. So these are the, again, minimums as we're talking about this. The only thing that I left off, it's called the wrecking ball hold. That's H's challenge where you're holding in place. I guess you can ramp it on your thighs, hold tight in your grip. I think it's a silly event. I hope to do it anyways. But that's kind of hard to correlate. You just need to have a really, really, really strong grip for that. That's not something I can give you really any sort of specific insights on like, here are the standards, because really it's never been done before. And I don't think weights are even posted yet. So as a strongman, you should always have a very, very strong grip. Now, to summarize and wrap this up, remember, you should always be developing your basics, right? So as we look at the fundamental or the qualifier events, we have a log overhead press, a yoke carry, an actual deadlift, and a series of sandbag carries. These are 4 of what I consider to be the big 6 fundamental strongman movements. So in my opinion, those are the things that you need to be a very, very good strongman. So that would be the log, the yoke, deadlifts, sandbags, stones, and farmer's carries. Okay. Now, whether you are competing for the world's strongest man or a novice just getting into the sport, you're going to see those 6 things all the time. So if you want to be good at this, it's pretty imperative that you get as good as you can at them as fast as you can. So that's why I just released a big 6 training program that covers all of those. Now, big issue with having to train a lot of these is a lot of people don't know how to successfully balance heavy work, light work, training for different styles, training with different kits, training for time, training for heavy load, this and that. So that's what this program does, is it balances all of these different demands that you might see in different levels of competitions, because you could have like a max deadlift, and then you could also have a deadlift for reps. You could have sandbags and shoulders, but you could also have, a sandbag carry. You could have a 1 rep max log, or you could have a log for reps. So when you're trying to get good at all these things, it's hard to know exactly how you're supposed to train. That's what this program covers. Now, if you're interested in picking that up, I'm going to drop the link in the bio, but it's also included with your membership to clubstrongman.com, where we've got access to training programs, educational resources, and things like recovery guides, mobility guides, even yoga for strongman, and then also monthly coaching calls with different elite pro strongmen and top level coaches. So if you want to level up, check out clubstrongman.com. We're in the founding stage right now, so if you want to get in before prices increase, now is your time. That link is also in the bio, and it'll help you master the fundamentals of strongman, or just get better at them if you're already advanced in your strongman training career. So as you know, I'm always open to having a conversation about any of this stuff involved with strongman. So if you want to throw some questions at me, please comment below. Hit me up on Instagram, X, anything like that. All of my socials are the same as YouTube here, Stephen M. Coyne. So give me a shout. I always appreciate the views, the likes, the engagement. Thank you so much for watching. Stay strong and have a championship day.